Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ranking Member. As always, it's good to see you. And it's good to be here to clear up a lot of misconceptions, a lot of things that have been said. In fact, frankly, Mr. Chairman and Madam Ranking Member, that's all I've done for 100 days, is I've fought rumor and innuendo in going through. In fact, it's the thing that we do the most of, and a lot of which was just talked about here and some of your opening statement, but especially the Ranking Member's opening statement. I look forward to answering those questions as we go. Because, the one thing I have found in my 100 days, which is tomorrow, coming forward, is that we have, at the VA, have some of the best men and women in the country taking care of the most unique and special group of people, and that is the people who serve our country. Those who have served alongside of me and many of you are getting the care that they need. However, there's interesting that what I have found is the moment you begin to discuss the VA, and the moment you begin to go through it in this subcommittee, realize the VA is in need of reform. I've heard it from most of you. I've heard it from many while I was serving in this body. The VA is a place that needs reform and needs to be able to deliver timely care and getting to yes for veterans to the benefits that they have earned. And making sure money that Congress appropriates to the VA is not diverted to non-mission critical or even wasteful programs. You see, even last year, even going back just to last year, Congress, about the need for reform in VA simply many times just came across as a request for more money and more people. But I think what you're going to see today as we discuss this is that money and people are not the exact answers to all the things that hurt us. In fact, the Biden administration for the last 4 years didn't address the most serious issues laying before it, such as benefit backlogs and rising healthcare wait times. In fact, the numbers speak for themselves. The VA grew by 52,000 full-time equivalents from fiscal year 21 to 24. Did all those extra people help make veterans care better? No. In fact, the VA performance metrics got worse. Healthcare wait times went up, disability benefits backlog increased. And sometimes something has to change, and President Trump is committed to making sure those changes happen at the VA. Our goal is to create a department that works better for veterans, families, caregivers, and survivors. And I've never been shy about addressing tough issues head on, and I won't ignore the elephant in the room here today. As everyone is aware, we're conducting a thorough review of department structure and staffing across the enterprise. I've said countless times the review is aimed at finding ways to improve care and benefits for veterans without cutting care and benefits for those veterans. Our goal is to increase productivity and efficiency and to eliminate waste and bureaucracy, improving healthcare delivery and benefits to our veterans. We're going to maintain VA essential jobs like doctors and nurses and claims processors while phasing out other non-mission critical ideas and consolidating areas in which we have, frankly, overlap and waste. Our goal is to ensure that employees where they're needed, is put them there and cut unnecessary overhead. Strategically reduce staff to ensure the VA's budget is mostly going directly to veterans, and will accomplish this without making cuts to health care or benefits to VA beneficiaries. Year after year, calls for the VA reform come from every corner. Lawmakers, media watchdogs, this body, Inspector General, even the Government Accountability Office, VSOs, and including veterans across the country. So guess what? This year, we're actually going to do it. This area is actually the time that we're actually going to take those calls and say, we're going to try and fix something. For 10 years, Mr. Chairman, as you well know, the GAO has said that the VA is on a high-risk list for issues of abuse, of issues of fraud, the issues of waste. These are the GAO's words, not mine. For patient care, for patient accountability. These are their words, not mine. 10 years this has been going on. And every year, we just continue to act as if it doesn't exist. And so when we look at this, my issue is how do we actually make sure that we have change that actually works? And when you make system-wide changes, yes, there's going to be some issues in how we do it and how we go about it. But I made a commitment on my first day that the VA was no longer about the organization. It was about a service organization that was there for the veteran themselves. Instead of it being about what we're doing internally, it's about how are we delivering the service that they're entitled to, and that we're commanded to give. So as we start this, there's going to be a lot of questions. You know, the VA is not a federal jobs program. It's a service organization that is designed to help our veterans. So in these first 100 days, we have done things that you've heard about. We've actually started looking at our structure, going with career employees, our consultants and others to say, how are we actually looking at our employee workforce and how we're spending money? We're doing that in a very concise way. We're looking at contracts, and we're going to talk about those, I'm sure, today. But we're also making sure that the Mission Act is something that is fulfilled. The Mission Act was passed by this body and for many years has been basically ignored, and especially the last few years. Disturbing evidence has came up as we began to look at why community care, which many of you hear about from your constituents all the time, of not being able to get to their community doctors or not being access to community care. It's why is that happening? Well, a lot of it was because the VA itself was not encouraging it. In fact, was actually discouraging the community care aspect. In fact, I was just in Arizona with a veteran student who actually told me, he said, the only concern I have, he said, Mr. Secretary, he said, I've been waiting for about 3 months or more on my appointment and I can't get one. And I asked him, I said, have you been offered any other alternatives such as community care? And this veteran looked at me and said, what is that? By the way, the medical center director was sitting right next to me and quickly perked up at that. This is the kind of things we face. This is something we can actually come together on. This is not something that necessarily needs to be a divisive issue, but there is ways that we can fix this. But after 10 years, I think the GAO has said it's time to get to work. So as we talk about this today, Mr. Chairman, I'm looking forward to answering these questions. I'm looking forward to talking about how we have come together to make already changes in our VA. There's places we'll agree and there's places we'll disagree. But I'm amazed at what I have found. I found some great folks, and I found some veterans that, again, deserve the best treatment. But I've also seen a system that unfortunately has been talked about reform for so long, but not gotten it. Now's the time to make the reform. And with that, I yield back.